was 15. My family and I were in Fort Myers, Florida, and there was a terrible storm on the horizon riding in on black clouds. The waves had begun crashing like a watery bulldozer and the sea was becoming choppy. I was boogie boarding, and I went out for one last wave. Something very cold bumped into my legs. Seconds later, I went under. In this moment, I was a boiled crab getting my leg ripped by a hungry restaurant patron. Simultaneously screaming and inhaling copious amounts of saltwater, I could feel something of great strength tugging me along as the sand I clawed at began to fall away from my fingertips. Something tangible and icy was wrapped around my ankle. This is the moment that I realized amidst the struggling that it wasn't a riptide. Something had a hold of my leg, and it was dragging me further and further from land. When I couldn't hold my breath any longer, my fight or flight kicked in. Instead of swimming away from whatever it was, I swam along with it. My head broke above the surface one time as I projectile vomited salt and took one more deep inhale, and yet, I was dragged down again. Now facing the horizon, I felt that same snug, icy grip only now on my forearm as it continued to pull. I'd assumed I was being pulled by a giant squid, but then, I opened my eyes, and what I saw was nightmarish. I was leering directly into the eyes of a little boy with dark blue lips, a pale, bluish tint to his skin and his jaw hanging open, like the corpse of a drowning victim. His bony fingers were latched to my forearms while gazing into my soul with dead, lifeless white eyes. This boy was miraculously swimming backwards while simultaneously pulling me to my death. Utterly frightening was the vision of his legs paddling eerily sluggish behind him while swimming in the wrong direction. I pushed my feet against his chest and shot myself away and out of his grasp. The last thing I saw was the boy reaching for my legs while receding down into the black abyss, smiling at me with a toothless grin on the way down. I shuddered when I heard a humming of what sounded like some sort of demonic lullaby after he disappeared, emanating from all around me in echoes. Once my head broke the surface and I began taking giant breaths, my eyes adjusted, and I discovered that I was maybe only 100 yards from shore. I swam as hard and fast as I could, but fighting exhaustion, I figured I wouldn't make it. Until my feet touched down on the sandbar. The waves violently crashing around me and thunder rumbling overhead, I took a minute to breathe. I told my parents what happened. That it was a boy. A very evil boy, who pulled me under. My dad says, sometimes in a stressful situation, you'll imagine things that aren't there. He never went against his conviction that I imagined it, but I saw it in his face the next morning. Pure dread in his eyes when I showed him freezer burns on my wrists and ankles in the shape of fingers. Somehow I believe that many of those who have drowned from undertows were really drowned by something else. They just aren't alive to tell us about it. The end. I was watching the news in my one-bedroom flat. The same old shit came on, the president doing shady shit, stock markets, the whole 9 yards. I was sitting on the couch when an emergency alert came on, a new virus killing crops and animals in the south of North America. The virus started from a new species of beetles, feasting on plants, the plants die, and the animals that eat these plants also die. That was 2 years ago today. The world has gone into a panic, 90% of Earth's beings have died. All animals, plants besides trees, and humans. Before the impending doom, my grandfather had a fallout shelter with 2 years of food and water stocked up in it. When everything started dying off, I moved in there. I have 1 can of beans left and half a bottle of water. I have to go out into the world soon. I hope there are people near me. I haven't talked to anyone in a very long time. Today, I went to my local gas station and Walmart. I luckily managed to snag 1 can of beans, which is a year outdated. I guess it'll do. I really need water. I can go 7 days without eating, but I can't live that long without water. I heard that the plant life in the oceans has died off too, so streams, lakes, drinking those is basically a death wish. I'm going to go to a supermarket tomorrow. I'm on my way to the supermarket, and all I see is death. There are dead people and animals everywhere I turn, but I finally got to the supermarket. The whole place is boarded up and has a sign that says survivors inside. I knocked on the door and yelled to see if people were still there, to no avail. I broke the boards down and got inside, but the smell of rotten flesh hits me. All the survivors are dead. I look around and find 7 water bottles and some old veggies that were processed before the virus was found, so they are safe to eat. I can believe all of humanity is missing. I'm getting more and more lonely, and I'm becoming more and more depressed. If I don't find hope soon, there will be no hope for me. A couple of days have passed. I fear that my time has run out. It's been 2 years, 4 months, and 29 days since the virus. Tonight will be time to finally meet up with my long-lost friends, where they are, heaven or hell, if it even exists, and tell them about the time all of life disappeared from the earth. This is my final goodbye. I'm sorry to whoever finds my body, I tried my best. Hey you, yeah, you. This is my last hope of getting to you, so you better not ignore me. I've been here this entire time, but you constantly pretend I'm not here. That shadow you see out of the corner of your eye, that you brush off as your imagination, that's me. The tapping coming from your window in the dead of night, that's me. The feeling of eyes against the back of your neck when you're trying to bathe, that's me. I know what you're thinking, and no, I'm not perverted, I'm just trying to keep you safe. There are so many things you are sheltered from, my child. You aren't safe, not unless I am around. You know I exist. You can't lie to yourself and say I don't. I've been here with you forever. You see, nobody is safe. You're in the dark about something that could potentially ruin your life, and everyone else around you. What do you imagine a monster to look like? A floating sheet? A walking corpse? Fucking pathetic. You'll know a real monster when you see it. It's in their eyes. Their eyes aren't human, and you can tell. But if you see their eyes, look away immediately, or you will be taken. When they smile, it's too wide, too fake, but by the time you see the smile, you're done for. Those are the only ways you can tell. Everything else looks human, incredibly human. Cartoon monsters are bullshit. That's the simple truth. The boogeyman, zombies, vampires and whatnot are insulting to true beasts. The ones that want you to suffer endlessly, your screams echoing throughout the pits of Tartarus. The ones that will tear you apart slowly, mentally and physically, until you're nothing more than a pile of flesh and bones, but only if you're lucky. If they let you live, don't expect to last long. Or for anyone you care about to. I've seen it too many times. The parents that are affected, making it out alive, but beating their children to death, then killing their spouses in horribly gruesome ways. The affected always die last. Nobody has ever truly survived. These monsters, they cause all of that. The destruction of families, the deaths of innocent children, so much pain and suffering, just for their sick, demented pleasures. And they're coming for you next. I know that you've sensed something is off. And they're what caused it. There is only one way you can protect yourself. The next time you hear me, whether I'm in your closet, or outside of your window, look at my eyes. I will solve all of your problems. Just look at me. I know you know I can save you. All you have to do is look at me. Look at my eyes. 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 I'm here.
There's always a reason to be afraid.